Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are working on the troublesome reign of King John, and we get to hear from King John today in Act 1, Scene 5, which was supposed to start out with a wedding, but then the bastard stood up and said that he wanted revenge on Limoges, who's the Duke of Austria, so they couldn't compel him to fight. But then King John was like, but if it's an English duke that's challenging you to a fight, would you do it? And Limoges is like, yeah. So then John knights the bastard so that he can make a formal challenge, and Limoges is like, that's not really fair, and he leaves. And the bastard wanted to go after him, but King John is like, don't even bother. You won this round, don't worry about it. And Queen Eleanor loves that she has such a bloodthirsty kid, or grandson, in this whole thing. And then King Philip is like, should we get on with this whole marriage thing between Louis and Blanche? But Cardinal Pandolf comes in and interrupts and demands of King John to know why he refuses to recognize the new Archbishop of Canterbury. And King John is like, look, there's God and then there's me. So I'm not taking orders from any silly Italian priest. Like, you and the Pope can just go over there and do whatever. I want nothing to do with you. I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to rule the way that I want to rule because, as I said, it's God and then it's me. So Cardinal Pandolf excommunicates King John on the spot and then asks that everybody who doesn't side with King John wage war against him. And Pandolf also preemptively pardons whoever might end up killing King John. So King John is feeling maybe a little ooky about this, and he turns to King Philip because, their families are getting married right now, so they should technically be on the same side and have each other's backs. He turns to Philip and he's like, so what do you think about all this? And King Philip is like, sorry, I gotta side with the Pope on this one. And King John says, why, Philip, I defy the Pope and thee, false as thou art, and perjured King of France, unworthy man to be a compted king. Givest thou thy sword into a prelate's hands? Pandolf, where I, of abbots, monks, and friars, have taken somewhat to maintain my wars, now will I take no more but all they have. I'll rouse the lazy lubbers from their cells, and in despite I'll send them to the Pope. Mother, come you with me, and for the rest that will not follow John in this attempt, confusion light upon their damned souls. Come, lords, fight for your king that fighteth for your good. And then he exits with, just 2 or 3 other people going with him. Most of the people don't go. So what he's saying here is he's now also breaking the ties with King Philip, saying that King Philip is unworthy of being a king, and he's selling out, and he's making the wrong choice here. And then he turns to Pandolf, and he's like, you know what? I used to collect some money from the church to fund my wars. Now I'm going to take all of it. So they're not going to have anything. And I'm going to send all of the priests and monks and friars and everybody back to the Pope in Rome. He can have them. I don't want them anymore. And then King John calls to Queen Eleanor to go with him. And he says, basically, mic drop, I'm out. Screw all y'all. I'm going home. Or, I'm going to prepare to fight because the rest of you should be prepared to fight me. So he leaves, and King Philip instantly turns to Pandolf and he's like, let me show you exactly how hard I'm going to fight for Rome. I'm going to stand up for everything that the church stands for and that Rome stands for. You can 100% count on me. And then Blanche is like, today was supposed to be my wedding day, and now I'm married to Louis, who's French, but King John is English and he's my uncle. So I'm kind of stuck here. And Louis is like, meh, it is what it is. And King Philip is like, let's go to war. And that's the end of Act 1, Scene 5. So, we were supposed to have a wedding. We got an excommunication. We have a revenge thing going on. And we have now, once again, a budding war between England and France. So in Shakespeare's version, this takes us to about the end of Act 3, Scene 1, which is very similar. It starts out with it's going to be a wedding, but we get to see a lot more of Constance and her desperation for her current situation, and then the kings come in, and then the wedding party comes in, and all that is supposed to start happening. But then Pandolph comes in and asks John why he doesn't recognize the Archbishop of Canterbury, and John is, I can do whatever I want. But one of the big differences is it takes a lot more to get Philip to break his ties with King John in Shakespeare's version than in this, including one of the most obnoxious monologues that Shakespeare ever wrote for Cardinal Pandolph. Go take a look in the King John stuff and find it. It's I had to do it for a class once, and it's a mouthful. But through all of that, it's Pandolph trying to convince Philip that he needs to break ties with John, as opposed to in this version, Philip is like, I have to side with the Pope, and hey, Cardinal, this is how hard I'm going to fight for you. But both scenes end basically with we're going to be going off to war, and King John is now excommunicated from the church. So fun stuff. And that's only Act 1, Scene 5. We've got quite a ways to go in this troublesome reign of King John. So come on back tomorrow for more. Mwah.